Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on France 24. Well, Emmanuel Macron has arrived in China for a 3-day visit. In comments shortly after touching down there, the French president said that Europe cannot economically separate itself from Beijing. During his trip, Macron will be joined by the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. And aside from the economic and trade concerns, the two leaders are hoping to dissuade Chinese President Xi Jinping from supporting Russia's war in Ukraine. Here's the French president speaking earlier.
The war led by Russia in Ukraine has profoundly affected the international order as we've known it since 1945. And this war, which I've repeatedly described as imperialist and colonial, has violated many of the principles of the United Nations Charter, which, as two permanent members of the Security Council, we must resolutely defend. So China, precisely because of its close relationship with Russia, which has been reaffirmed in recent days, can play a major role.
And for more on this, I'm joined by Jean-François di Meglio. He's an economist and president of the Asia Center think tank. Thanks so much for being with us here on France 24. We know what President Macron hopes to accomplish during this trip. We said, he wants to dissuade Xi Jinping from supporting Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But what realistically can he accomplish during this trip?
Well, you have stressed very much this aspect. This aspect is obviously present in the visit, and that's probably, as you say, the most ambitious goal that he pursues. However, the main intention in showing up in Beijing this time around is to reconnect and to reset the relation with China. As was mentioned in the president's speech ahead of the French community in China, it's been 3 years since the last contact was established. So that's one. You mentioned you could see that his first visit, his first session was with the French community. The French community has been separated from their home country, of course, for 3 years, and there is lots of effort to make to reconnect first the French community working in China to their head offices and with the home country.
Do you think he can do that? Can he reset relations between France and China?
Well, it's a first step. It's a first step. Reset does not mean that you are back to square one. And it's been mentioned many times during the preparation of the trip, and it will be mentioned many times during the trip. Lots of things have changed in 3 years, not only because of pandemics, not only because the Ukraine war, but also because China has taken a different stance in global relations, and also, and that was mentioned clearly by the president in his speech, we are now intending not to be naive any longer if we ever were. He just said that we never were naive. You may think that in some ways, considering that China was a fair partner, was a display of naivety, and now it's over. So this is what the reset is about. And of course, the reset is also about speaking to a China which is indeed assertive, but it was probably weaker in terms of the economy than what it was before the pandemics. Growth has slowed down, and China is exporting a lot to Europe. So Europe is essential. And the fact that Ursula von der Leyen is going together with Emmanuel Macron, and you probably listen, and your audience knows about the words she used 2 days ago, the fact that he's going with her is also a mention that Europe wants to be assertive in turn vis-à-vis China.
That was going to be my next question. Von der Leyen will be there. Does she have her own agenda, or will she and Macron present a united front?
Well, the united front is a funny expression, as you know, because a united front is exactly the word that China wants to use when it looks for partners who are not members of the Communist Party. But yes, it will be a united front, and it will last at least one day, because tomorrow's agenda is a common agenda with common visits. And that, of course, echoes the fact that 3 years ago, when Emmanuel Macron hosted Xi Jinping in Paris, he wanted European representative, at the time it was Angela Merkel for Germany, and that was the head of the Commission at the time, to be together with him And he makes an effort not to be alone when he meets China, not because he's afraid of being alone, but because he wants Europe to be represented alongside France, and he wants France to be probably at the forefront of the European push towards China.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Jean-François di Meglio, economist and president of the Asia Center think tank. Thanks so much for being with us here on France 24.